You're paying 15 bucks more for the premium TaylorMade TP5 compared to the budget-friendly Tour Response. But what if I told you the cheaper ball loses by nearly 1,000 RPMs of spin right where it actually counts? Welcome to the lab. Let's find out if you are really getting $15 more performance out on the course. We put both the Tour Response and the TP5 through our full data-driven test protocol to find out if that extra money actually translates into better results, particularly if you're a mid-handicapper. And I gotta tell you, the cheaper ball got way closer than you'd probably think. But stick around, because there was one very specific category where the TP5 just completely pulled away, and honestly, if you care about your score, you absolutely need to see this. All right, let's establish the high stakes here. We have the Tour Response sitting at $39.99 a dozen, going head-to-head against the TP5 at $54.99. If you're like most golfers out there, you want that urethane cover feel and that premium short game control, right? But you also probably don't want to light your hard-earned cash on fire every single time you splash one into a pond. So, to find the truth, we ran both of these golf balls through our strict golf ball lab protocol. We're talking driver, 7-iron, a 50-yard wedge, full wedge, and the putter. We use a 92-mile-per-hour driver swing speed, which is right in the wheelhouse for a 10 to 20 handicap. And we hit plenty of shots to weed out the obvious mishits, making sure we keep the averages completely honest. Before we jump into the raw numbers, let's quickly introduce the physical competitors. The Tour Response is TaylorMade's value urethane option. It's really built to give average golfers a tour-style feel, but without that massive price tag. Then on the other side, you have the TP5. That's the premium tour standard played by the pros on TV. But the real difference, it lies in how these two are actually constructed. So, the Tour Response is a 3-piece ball with a compression right around 70. This makes it a lot easier to compress for moderate swing speeds. The TP5, however, is this sophisticated 5-layer design tuned for absolute precision, and it sits much firmer with a compression around 85. Now, you might assume that an easier to compress ball automatically means better performance for the average player. Well, let's see exactly how this plays out in the data.
Let's start with the long game, because let's be real, this is where most buying decisions happen. At a 92-mile-per-hour swing speed, the Tour Response gave us a total of 238 yards. The TP5, 241 yards. That is a mere 3-yard difference. For a mid-handicapper, a 3-yard gain off the tees simply doesn't justify a $15 premium. It's just not enough.
But here's where it starts to get super interesting. Take a look at the driver spin metrics. The Tour Response spun at 2,780 RPMs, while the TP5 dropped down to 2,450 RPMs. That difference of about 330 RPMs is absolutely crucial. It gives the TP5 a flatter, much more stable flight. If you're someone who constantly fights a high spinny driver, that lower spin rate is real, tangible improvement, not just marketing fluff. Moving down the bag to the 7-iron, the Tour Response averaged 155 yards of carry. The TP5 carried 158 yards. So again, the gap remains incredibly tight at just 3 yards. But the TP5 offered a slightly higher peak apex and a steeper landing angle. So even though it spun a touch less, it actually gave us a much better stopping window once it hit the green. Now, up to this point, the Tour Response has kept up remarkably well. But from 50 yards and in, the entire narrative completely flips. This is the short game turning point. The winner here might actually surprise you, so stay with us. If you truly care about scoring and getting the ball close to the pin, pay very close attention to what happens next. Dramatically, this is where the TP5 pulls away. On a 50-yard wedge shot, the Tour Response gave us a very respectable 7,350 RPMs. But look at the TP5. It jumped all the way to 8,250 RPMs. That massive 900 RPM spin gap gives the premium ball incredible stopping power and a much tighter rollout of just 4 to 6 feet. And the picture gets even clearer on full wedge shots, completely reinforcing the TP5's absolute dominance. The Tour Response sat right around 9,300 RPMs. The TP5, just over 10,100 RPMs. This 800 RPM jump is literally the biggest performance separation in our entire lab test. Guys, this is the difference between landing pin high and releasing right over the back edge into the rough. Now, I know a lot of players buy premium balls strictly for that soft, buttery feel around the greens. But surprise, on the putting green, it was basically a draw. On 20-foot lag putts, the feel and the speed control were so incredibly similar that in a blind test, there's no way you'd be able to tell me which one cost $15 more. On the green, that premium price tag just vanishes. All right, let's pull all this undeniable lab data together. Driver, TP5 by 3 yards. 7-iron, TP5 by 3 yards, but look closely at those wedge numbers. A 900 RPM difference on the 50-yard pitch and an 800 RPM difference on the full wedge. Putting is a complete draw. Take a second to let those short game differences really sink in, because that right there, that is your defining separator.
So what does this performance data actually mean for your wallet? Well, if you play a dozen balls a month, choosing the Tour Response saves you roughly $180 a year. That's a new wedge right there. If that massive short game spin difference we just looked at doesn't actually help your specific game, you're simply paying extra for performance you just aren't using. Which brings us to the moment of truth. Is the budget tour ball actually worth it? The answer is yes. Absolutely, but strictly for the right golfer. The Tour Response gets incredibly close, but it's not a complete TP5 killer. Let's break down exactly which buyer profile you fit into right now so you know what to bag. Here is your rapid-fire buyer's guide. If your driver swing speed is under 90 miles per hour and you want that urethane feel and just enough spin to hold your chips, buy the Tour Response. It's an easy call, especially if you happen to lose a few balls around. But if you are in that 90 to 100 mile per hour range, or you desperately need scoring spin to turn bogeys into pars, the TP5 easily earns its premium price. Our verdict is clear. The Tour Response gets surprisingly close, but the TP5 is still the better overall golf ball. And we know this because of data, not opinion. We base our verdicts entirely on hard facts, measured strictly in the lab without any outside bias whatsoever. So I want to hear from you. What golf ball are you playing right now, and have you ever tested it against a premium ball side by side? Drop your answer in the comments below, because a lot of golfers are leaving valuable spin on the table. If this explainer saved you from buying the wrong ball, make sure to hit subscribe so you never waste money on equipment again. Next up, we're putting the Strix on Q-Star Tour against the Tour Response. Until then, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.